One of the best ways to keep your chickens tame is hand feeding them. Visitors and children enjoy feeding chickens, and if you establish that early on that they can come to people for food, then they'll look forward to your visits. Even the most skittish birds can be tamed by hand feeding. In this segment, we'll talk about different types of feed and how best to use it. When chickens are not outside ranging, they need a balanced diet available. It's your job to provide the best possible diet. Don't skip when it comes to buying your feed. Don't look for the lowest price. Look at the contents of the feed, talk with the salespeople, and make sure you understand fully where these nutrients are coming from. Okay, so here are some feed options. Of course, when we start the birds, we use crumbles or mash, and this is the crumble. And then we go, as they grow, to the grower finisher portion, which is available in pellet form and is also available in crumbles. I prefer the pellet form. And as the birds get older, or in the winter time, you have to have an adult bird ration, which is a layer ration. A laying hen can have a number of supplements. For example, what I've shown here are some pieces of oyster shell. Oyster shell will help build the calcium level in a hen that's laying eggs, because obviously there's a great calcium loss when she produces an egg shell. Do not make calcium available, however, to younger or developing birds, as it may damage their organs. They're not prepared. So after they've laid their first egg, we can go to a layer ration, which has calcium in it, and you can offer calcium also as a supplement on the side in the form of these crushed oyster shells. Now, one of the things when you have young chicks and they're starting to eat bits of their bedding and things like that, they need to be able to break them down. So you can also put in with your chicks or birds at any stage of development, you can put these granite chunks. It's sold here under something called granite grit or granny grit. It's little tiny pieces of granite that they put in their crop, and then it goes to their gizzard where their food is ground up. And if they've been eating little bits of wood shavings and things like that, chunks of granite will help grind that up. It really has no nutritional value. The other thing that we have, and I've used it before as a parasitic control, is this diatomaceous earth. Remember that diatomaceous earth is a silica and can also be a respiratory problem if you're going to breathe it in. So it should be handled carefully, and I recommend that you wear a respirator when you're using it. You can take diatomaceous earth and put it in your feeders with the chicken feed, regardless of what form you're using, and it will serve to absorb moisture and prevent that feed from spoiling due to high humidity levels and things like that. Also, if a chicken eats diatomaceous earth along with their food, then it helps to rid them of internal parasites as well, exactly the same way that it rids them of external parasites. External parasites are defeated with diatomaceous earth because it lacerates their exoskeleton and draws moisture out of them. So we have oyster shells, which should not be fed unless they are at the laying stage. We have cracked corn, which is a great energy resource but can serve to make your birds fat. It also helps them generate heat, though, if you have, for example, a broody hen who's trying to hatch eggs. And the pellet form, which makes sure that they get the full complement of the feed ration and they don't get to pick and choose. The crumbles, which allow them to pick and choose and are available in any formulation, whether it's for a starter chick, a grower, a finisher, or even a laying ration. Now, in the wintertime, when they're kept inside the coop, you may want to go to this crumble form, because the crumbles give the chicken more time to feed. When they come and gobble up these pellets, of course, they eat a lot of food in a very short amount of time. Also, if you're going to throw food on the ground, which I really don't recommend, but if you want the birds to be able to find it easily and pick it up because maybe you have young visitors that just want to feed the chickens, throw the pellets out, because pellets are easy for the birds to pick out in the grass, and they'll make sure to clean it all up, and you won't be leaving anything for night predators or for other wild birds to come and feed. So remember, the granite grit is also used to help grind up their food, which isn't necessary. I mean, when they have a formulated feed, it's already ground, so just the water will soften it up and they can digest that just fine. The reason that you're giving them granite grit is for the parts that they eat that may be indigestible and things they may find on range, or even when young chickens eat their bedding. Now, chickens on open range are omnivorous, which means they eat both plant and animal matter. Even little reptiles like this northern brown snake would be prey for a chicken if they caught the movement. They would run it down and eat it. Environmental health is really important, and small reptiles like this northern brown snake are indicators of good environmental health. If we were using pesticides, for example, the food chain of this little guy would be disrupted and would be toxic, and then these guys would be absent from the environment. So even though I'm not going to let the chickens find this guy, you should know that they eat mice. Surprisingly, they eat frogs and other amphibians as well. The presence of reptiles like this little brown snake are important indicators of environmental health. If we were using